We should probably do something about this intro.
Yeah, take a good look, people.
Hint, hint. You ready? Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen! Oh man, what a crowd today. Today is January 19th, 2020, Season 4, Episode 3. I'm Eric Murphy.
I'm Vi La Bianca, and this is the first episode, Season 4, that we're actually on together.
Yes! All right. How have you been? It's been a while.
I've been good. I have more Twitter followers than you do now. And it's been a long journey, but we're here now. And
Okay.
I just want you to know.
How many Twitter followers did... I need to see this. We'll get to the calls, I promise.
We'll get there.
Hold on.
We'll get there. I just need to bask in this for a minute because I promised y'all I'd be insufferable.
Okay.
And I'm insufferable.
Okay, I have 2,449.
I have 2,451.
So if you haven't followed at Dirty Heathen... Oh, come on, it's not fair if I plug and you don't.
At Author Confusion, you can decide. You decide. So I just want everyone to know that I'm prefacing literally everything I'm going to be saying this entire episode with, as someone who has more Twitter followers.
Got it.
As someone who has more Twitter followers, I'm actually going to be in Portland in February, the 20th through the 26th, and I would love to have like some kind of a meet and greet situation. Sit down at Rogue and just chat. So if you're all interested in maybe coming to meet me, DM me on Twitter at Author Confusion, and while you're there, give me a follow.
Oh, I like that. Okay. I see what you're doing. You know what? Last time I went to Las Vegas, I announced that, and essentially, if you don't reach out, there's not going to be something scheduled. So if you're part of a skeptic atheist group in and around the Portland area, give me a shout and set that up. Well, let's see. Something's happened since I've been on Talk Heathen last.
What has happened?
I've actually been putting out content videos, informal debates and arguments with apologists.
Nice.
Right? So on my personal channel, so I'm really excited about that. I actually have them scheduled out. So yeah, it's been fun in a bash your head against the desk kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as is the case generally.
That was 2 weeks ago, I had a pre-sup, and...
Yes. The pre-sup wasn't as bad as the last one, though.
Right?
I mean, to be fair, pre-sups are bad, but this guy was bad. But yeah, that's on Thursdays, right?
Yep. And then, let's see, I'm still doing my Twitch streaming. And,
if you did Twitter streaming, maybe you could catch up to me. I don't know.
It's going to be like this the whole time, isn't it? Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah, let's see, I actually streamed for 10 hours yesterday. And what was funny is it was about midnight, and I'm looking down at the live chat, and there are people who are in there who'd never seen Talk Heathen or knew any, who I was. And it just said, oh, cool, an ASMR gaming channel. And I was like...
Hey, embrace it. Embrace it.
I might need to moonlight as an ASMR gaming channel.
Watch your back, Seth Andrews.
Right? Ooh, okay, I like that.
Sorry, I'm just very competitive today. I don't know why.
That's all right. Before we get into calls, though, I do want to say our regular announcement. It looks like Atheist Vanguard's going to have a new episode at 3 o'clock. So after this show, make sure you go check out Atheist Vanguard. Also, this show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit. If you like what you do and you want to support us, please consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. It's your donations that allow us to keep doing the show, put on other things like Godless Bitches 3.0.
Yep.
And others. It has allowed us to partner with volunteer organizations that are helping out all over. And we're really excited about that. So if you'd like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. If you want to support us and you don't want to give money, that's also okay. I consider leaving a review on Google, on the the Google Podcast or on iTunes. The last couple that I saw, they're just people who will go in and downvote things, and just because they're atheist shows.
Yeah.
So
that's how
please,
it is.
leave a good review. Tell your friends. Share it out. Subscribe. That really does help.
We are going to be reading our top 5 patrons 2/3 of the way through the show, are we not?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
So if you'd like
you.
your name read on air, we refresh the page right before we read it out. So if you want to donate to that Patreon, we'll give you a shout.
Absolutely. Thank you, V. All righty. You ready?
Let's do this.
Let's dive into calls. Moldred in New York.
Moldred, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh, he was on last week.
Hi.
Ooh. Hi, Moldred.
Hi. When the call ended last week, you said, "Well, why don't you call back and discuss the goddess Eris or Discordianism?"
Yeah, I'm down. Let's talk about
I
it.
called back and I sent you our in quotation marks holy book. Did you get it?
I believe we did. I have not read it yet, but I know that it's sitting on the desk in the control room. So, yep.
Yep, Principia Discordia.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that book.
Yep.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on. Can you fill me in?
Okay. Back in the way back last century, it was either I think it was the 1960s or something like that. Two people, one of whom was Greg Hill and something Thornley or something like that, came up with the idea of Discordianism or Arisian.
Okay, what is it?
Arisian Liberation Front or something like that, and they wrote the Principia Discordia, and sometime later, Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea wrote one of a number of trilogies.
Hey, Moldred?
Called the Illuminatus trilogy.
Moldred?
Which they referred to.
Moldred.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, no, that's okay.
You asked me to fill you in.
Yeah, I don't care who the authors are. What are they talking about? If they're talking about, I mean, why is it important? What is it?
What is it? It's a number of things. I guess the main thing to discuss would probably be the Arisian and Anarisian viewpoint of the universe, which is basically that behind everything else that's going on is a sort of a primordial chaos, and people
What does that mean?
Attach grids to that chaos in order to try and understand it.
What does that mean,
Different
Moldred?
people and over different periods of time have applied different grids to it.
Moldred.
And those grids are
Moldred.
those grids what they call reality. Yeah, go ahead.
What are you talking about?
Moldred, you mentioned the goddess Eris. Do you believe in an actual goddess?
No, I believe well, first of all, Discordians do not believe anything. They have multiple suspicions, but they do not have any belief.
Okay, how is a Discordian different from an atheist or a skeptic?
I suspect
Moldred.
I suspect Eris is an avatar for the universal chaos.
Okay, Moldred, how is a Discordian different from an atheist or a skeptic?
Well, when things go wrong, we suspect that Eris is involved, but we don't take it as like set in stone.
Is that like goblins?
No, it's the Greek goddess that experienced the original snub.
Moldred, you just said that you don't believe that goddess exists. You suspect. So why do you suspect that?
I suspect, yeah, that's it.
So what should we?
If you choose, you don't have to.
No, Moldred, hold on. Stop. I want to believe things for good reasons. I don't want to fucking choose what I believe. I want to have a damn good reason for it. And if you believe this thing, I would want you to have a damn good reason for it. And so I'm waiting for you to give me your damn good reason. And, if you choose to, no. Let's try again, right? You don't pick your beliefs. You decide, you take a look at the facts.
I don't have any.
You take a look at the facts and using the best tools you have available, make decisions and assertions and assumptions about this universe that you're in. And as you get more facts, you continue to revise it. At no point am I picking those things. I'm using the best tools I have available. Why did you pick this?
Why do you use those tools and not other ones? Didn't you choose them?
No, I found that they were the best tools available, Mildred. Do you know what skepticism is?
Was that a choice on your part or not?
No. No, it wasn't.
You didn't choose to use the best tools and facts available. You
no,
were forced into it.
We were convinced.
You had to do it, or did you choose to do it?
So, okay. Are you saying that?
Here's the difference.
Let's say I drop a ball. Right, I just let go of it. Am I choosing to think that it's going to hit the floor, or am I going to just, I don't know, every once in a while assume that it might, fly up toward the ceiling? How does that make any sense?
Makes sense to me.
Cool. All right. Should we give a crap about whether or not it makes sense to you?
If I drop a ball, I suspect it's going to hit the floor.
Awesome.
Why?
Depending on the whatever of the ball, it might or might not bounce. If it's a heavy ball, it's just going to hit the floor.
How do you know that?
What?
How do you know that when you drop a ball, it's going to hit the floor before it bounces?
Personal experience.
Okay. So, Mildred.
But I'm open to the possibility that it might not hit the floor. I doubt that it will not hit the floor, but I'm open to the
you said I understand you're open to the possibility of it hitting the floor. Mildred, why should we care?
Right. Because convictions make convicts. People are trapped by what they believe.
Which is why exercising healthy skepticism is a good way to look at it and determine whether or not you should be. Why were you convinced, and should we be convinced? Don't tell me you choose it. Tell me a good reason. And if you don't have a good reason, then why the hell do you believe it?
Once more, I do not believe anything.
Okay,
I
cool.
use maybe logic, and I have suspicions. Maybe. I have suspicions, some stronger than others, but I do not subscribe to any idea of a belief or a belief system.
All right. Well, that sounds like a great call.
Book here, though.
Wait, he wrote this?
No, but
what are the initials of belief system?
I'm so confused.
Wait, what are the initials of belief system?
A belief system is belief in a system of premises.
No, what are the initials of belief systems?
Initials? What do you mean?
Yeah. What are the initials of belief system? Of the words belief system. What are the what are the first letters of
BS, Mildred.
System?
Ha 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 ha.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I opened the book. This looks like it was pasted. Can we zoom in on this, please? This looks like it was pasted together by a serial killer. I'm going to check it out. But Mildred, if you don't believe, you don't have any good reason to believe, and you don't have anything to tell us that has any value, then I'm going to let you go, okay? Cool. Bye. All right. The hell was that?
I don't know. This is the second call I've had, and I still don't know.
Yeah?
No.
If you know what Mildred was up to, why don't you tweet me at Dirty Heathen and let me know what you think. Okay. Let's move on to Zoe, staying in New York. Hey, Zoe, you're talking to Eric and V.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. What can we help you with today?
So I wanted to start like an atheist club at my school.
Okay.
And I was wondering like what would be a good way to go about that positively and not come off as, the angry atheist club trying to deconvert everyone.
Sure. Volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah. So show what secular humanism is. Show that you can be good without God. Go clean up a highway or clean up on campus. Help other groups, and then volunteer, partner with other organizations, and just do good things.
Yeah, the ACA does a bunch of volunteer-based events. So we have a ramp project where we build ramps at people's houses. We have Austin Atheists Feed the Homeless one Sunday a month. A good way to kind of combat the people saying, oh, you're just trying to be contrary or, trying to spread, anti-Christian sentiment, whatever, is to give back to the community and have atheist in the title of your club and say, hey, if you're an atheist and you want to volunteer, this is where you come to do that. And then, of course, you can have other things going on. You can have conversations or debates or philosophy nights or whatever it is you like. But if you can point to what you're doing that is good in the world, that is helping people, and also have the label atheist on that club, that's going to convince a lot of people.
Okay, because my school has, I know there's one, I'm not sure how many. There's a Christian club and like other religious clubs, so.
Yeah, it's unfortunate
a lot of people deconvert in college. Mm-hmm. So I was hoping that having like an atheist or secular club would be able to help with that.
Absolutely. Have you reached out to the Secular Student Alliance?
Not yet.
Definitely start there. They've done this many, many times. They can help you. They have tools, they have materials, and it is a great head start, and just a good organization to tie in with. Definitely check out SSA.
All right, I'll look into that, and
cool.
I guess.
Yeah, and
good.
Thanks so much for doing what you're doing. I know that in college, if I had had an atheist club to go to as I was struggling with these questions, I probably would have come out the other side a lot sooner and without as much drama. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you guys for all the stuff you do.
Absolutely, we're happy to. Thank you. Take care, Zoe.
Have a good show.
Thanks.
Will do. That was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, Secular Student Alliance has chapters all over.
Mm-hmm. That was a good palate cleanser from Mildred.
Yes. Be more like Zoe. Be less like Mildred.
Oh, hey, I forgot to tell you. There was something else that happened while I was gone.
Yeah, what's that?
Do you remember Tawana the Witch?
I do remember Tawana the Witch.
So challenged them. We said we were going to touch base. Mm-hmm. My teeth were supposed to fall out of my head.
On the 13th.
On the 13th. That's right. And my hair, or I said, strike me. One of those things, right? We gave them time. I said, Tawana, I'll send you money.
Has not happened.
No, things are looking pretty good. It's almost as if that was all bullshit.
Okay.
So if you believe in voodoo, if you believe in things like Santeria, call. I want to talk to you. Let's put it to the test. Because if you're not willing to test it, why the fuck do you believe it? All right. Sorry, I had to get that out.
Good call back.
Right? Let's move on to Jim in Michigan.
Sounds good.
Jim, you're talking to Eric and
how's
V.
it going?
Hey. What do you want to talk about?
The last call actually segues probably pretty nicely into mine. I work for a pretty large company, and there's a person or persons talking about an informal Christian group within the company becoming more of a formal and sanctioned one. And basically that means they would get funding from the company to do what they want. And that feels kind of icky to me. And I don't know if I should be making a stink about it or what.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's doubly difficult when you have to, see that at your place of employment. You got to go there to make a living. You got to make rent. So I can absolutely see that being a problem. Are they comfortable with funding an atheist skeptic group as well?
I don't know. I only talked to a few people about it, including my direct supervisor, and the general message that I seem to be getting is it's not hurting anybody. Take a chill pill.
So if it's a private company, it's hard to fight that kind of thing. But if you and a couple people wanted to start an atheist group, or if there were some Muslims at your workplace who wanted to start a Muslim group and they said no, that would be workplace discrimination. So
sure.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this company is private, right? It's not a government-run or government-affiliated company?
It's not government-affiliated, but it does have government contracts. It's a publicly traded company. I don't know if that makes a difference.
It
might.
Entirely depends.
Yeah, I'd contact FFRF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Blanked on that for a second.
Sure.
And because they'll know what's going on in your state, and know how to probably best advise you on that. But yeah, I think a good idea would be to proposition maybe an atheist skeptic group and see if they're willing to give you the same kind of consideration. And if they're not, then you have something you could actually, that has weight behind it.
But that is a good idea to preface that by talking to a lawyer. Not just FFRF, American Atheists also has lawyers on staff. So
I did talk to one lawyer.
Oh, okay.
But not like in an official capacity. It was more just a lawyer who's dealt with similar kinds of things. They were coming from the standpoint that they have kids in a I don't know if it's an elementary school or a little bit older, but they've got Christmas shows and they sing Christian songs. And if they don't allow the Christian songs, and they don't have a Christian, or they don't have a Christmas show. So they were extremely supportive and I guess fighting it or speaking up.
Yeah, I'd say definitely at least speak up about it. It depends on a whole bunch of other factors, whether or not there's any way to stop it from happening, if that's the direction you want it to take. But I definitely don't take a chill pill.
Okay.
It's like don't do that.
Yeah.
One other thing they said was that the only way it actually becomes a problem, or like an actionable problem from their point of view, is if, say, for instance, I wanted to join it or attend it, or if they had like pizza parties and they were selective about who could actually come, then they have an actual problem or something that they would feel comfortable. This is like coming from my direct supervisor, just speculating like what might be deemed not okay. But it seems weird waiting for something like that to happen before the company thinks to itself, maybe this just seems like a bad idea on the whole.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad press that can happen if it gets out that they quashed the Christian group at their company. That's unfortunately going to be a consideration regardless of whether or not they agree with it personally.
And
fair enough.
If they're not taking a critical eye to it now, they're probably not going to take a critical eye to it until it is a problem. So that's kind of a catch-22. You just kind of gotta hold out.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Well, that's actually one of the scarier things that I've learned about this whole thing. Apparently, this is actually way more prevalent than I thought. Apparently, a lot of even Fortune 500 companies have faith-based employee resource groups, like Jewish, Muslim, Christian ones, or whatever. And if this is more of an accepted thing, and they come back and say, well, look at all these other companies who have this going on and nobody's making a fuss over it, then I feel like I don't have any ammunition.
Well, again, I think the place to start raising a stink is if they exclusively are cutting some people out. And at that point, then you can, I think. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, man. FFRF is the best place to go. After that, talking out of my ass. I'm not going to try.
Yeah, but we can empathize with you and say that kind of sucks. And
definitely.
We get it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good luck. Let us know what happens.
Sure thing. All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye. Yeah. The more I was thinking, the more I was like, oh, okay, we're getting into territory that I'm not comfortable at.
Right. Yeah. I feel like we tend to walk the line sometimes between like just we can't give you legal advice and we can't give you like actual therapy. So
Right. We can't give you relationship advice.
Those are two areas where these calls tend to get into that. And we're happy to bounce things off of each other and like brainstorm with you and empathize. But to a certain extent, please don't take us as professionals as anything other than talking into a camera.
Yeah, exactly. It just so happens that we wind up in that spot because of the negative impact of religion.
Right.
One of the biggest ones is science communication. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a degree in, any hard science, and yet we find ourselves needing to discuss the basics of science with people who just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And so we, in effect, become science communicators just to be able to get the basics out, but that doesn't mean that we're qualified to answer real tough questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And neither of us have kids.
That's another thing.
We're going to try our best. I worked with kids for many years. I've, to the degree that I have gotten an education post-high school, I have went into child psychology, so I can help a little bit. But again, I don't have a degree, so please don't.
Yeah, my experience extends to having 5 younger siblings, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That's all the kids I need.
5 younger siblings.
5 younger siblings.
You were the oldest?
Of 6.
Holy crap.
Yep.
That explains a few things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I commiserate. I'm the oldest as well. Yeah. All right. John in Georgia sounds fun. John, you're talking to Eric and V. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Well. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, get right into it. For both of y'all, do y'all believe in free will, and what kind of free will? Just,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
No. Okay. Could you explain what you do believe as far as free will or absence of it, or,
Sure. To the best of my understanding, we've been able to track everything we do to our brain states. And we've been able to see decisions being made before we even cognitively considered what that decision was going to be. You can take that back. And really, I think that free will is kind of more of an illusion. We're doing what we're doing and we're on this path, but I don't see any place for free will. I mean, I don't think that there's a ghost in the machine. I don't think there's some spirit piloting my body separate from myself. And if, we as living beings are interacting, I just, what would free will look like at that point? You know what I mean? If you're making a choice that's in a physical brain, would it have always been that way? I think it's been argued, yes, but I don't know. What about you, V?
I don't think we have free will in the sense that people think we do. I think that for the benefit of everybody, we need to act like we do have free will, because otherwise people, I don't know how a society would work if we didn't think that we did. But if you get down to neurochemical level, I think that probably at least the majority of what we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis is a result of just chemicals and neural pathways that have been built over time. Combine that with environment and surroundings and upbringing and culture and external pressures. I think it would be very hard to argue that free will in a libertarian sense actually existed.
Well, I understand what y'all are saying, and maybe I'm being too simple about it, and I'm sure y'all have heard this before, but I would like to get y'all's take on, if we don't have free will, how would y'all say you came about not believing in God, and maybe I came about believing in God, and who's right and who's wrong, or could we even know?
Well, I think we should try regardless. I think the more we learn about the world that we're in, the better we can cope with it and deal with it and make good decisions. I would say always err on the side of more information. It may be that we just have gotten different or more information than you. We were both born and raised Christians. And I'm assuming you're a Christian, John?
Yeah, I would call myself that right now.
Okay.
You would or wouldn't? I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I would say I'm hanging on to it.
Gotcha. Yeah. How you came to get there is you had so many tools. I mean, before I really learned how to think critically about it, if I was told, hey, you want evidence for God? Look at the beauty of the world around you. Look at the trees. And I'd be like, oh, okay, that's God's fingerprint. I didn't know what that means, but okay. But it wasn't until later that I was like, okay, let's apply some critical thinking here. How do I know that's the case? I don't. And just upon further examination, it just didn't hold water anymore. I think that I would challenge you to do the same. And if you come to a different conclusion, that's okay. But I want to know why you came to that conclusion. Because if you're right and I'm wrong, I want to know so that I can be right too. I want to know as many true things and as few false things as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm understanding. But last thing, if we don't have free will, can we blame anybody for doing evil actions?
Yes.
Well, how do you square that circle? Because
Sure.
if you say they didn't,
well,
yeah.
There are a couple things. The first is the prison system. So for the sake of this conversation, people in the live chat, I understand that the American prison system is fucking horrible. That is not the point. Set that aside. That said, if somebody is a danger to themselves and others, they need to be pulled away. We should take them out of the general population if they're going to be murdering other people or they're going to be disruptive or dangerous to society. Whether or not there was free will, wouldn't that still be a good idea?
Well, yeah, and that's the point.
And then on top of that,
starting to see.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I think that if we did see it as a system where that was built upon an understanding that we don't have free will, I think we might, just might, start turning our attention toward recidivism instead of punitive measures. So instead of going, you are being punished by being put in this cell, maybe if we are, broken as far as automatons are concerned, maybe if we fix somebody, we can make the world a bit of a better place and not have to spend so much money keeping people locked up like animals.
Right. There's a concept that exists where right now, if someone does something bad, the assumption is, oh, you have the free will to not do that, and you wanted to do that, and you did it, and it made you happy. And that understanding influences prison sentences. It influences rulings, like we become then punitive towards individuals who maybe didn't have that kind of free will to make that decision in the first place. So yes, we should be making sure that the general public is safe from people who may be programmed, for lack of a better word, to act in certain ways. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take care of those people as well and do our best to fix them.
Right. As a social species, we're kind of compelled to at a certain point. So, the idea, oh, this person's blameless because they didn't have the choice. Whether or not they had the choice, if they're going to be a danger to themselves and others, they need to be taken out of the population. They need to be separated so they don't hurt themselves or others.
Well, I agree with that. And I thank y'all for taking my call. I thought I had a point, but y'all have given me something to think about.
Just out of curiosity, what was your point?
Well, really, I've just been thinking if we don't have free will, and what I mean by that is libertarian free will, then are we making choices at all, to the basic, what are we going to eat for dinner? Or is all that programmed, and am I programmed to believe this, or are you programmed to believe that? And to me, that this kind of gets to Well, I mean, if I'm programmed to kill somebody, I mean, can you really blame me? But like you said, no, but still we need to keep us safe.
Absolutely. And on top of that, whether or not you have the free will, that's not something to be upset about. That's not something to despair about. I mean, just take a look. We can build computers that can learn on their own. We can build a program that can write a program more complex than itself, right? The idea that that there's something bad about that concept is ridiculous, because the more we progress as a society, the more we're growing. And if we bend that toward truth, if we bend that toward investigation, then we're going to benefit. Not only us, but future generations. And whether or not you have the free will to decide, hey, I want to help future generations, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, like I said, y'all gave me something to think about, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Thanks so much for calling in, John.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
I think it's very interesting to apply that concept of the injustice of a punitive system if we don't have free will to the concept of hell then, right? Because if we don't have free will, then why would we be tormented forever without the option of recidivism? So,
I remember in my religious search before I kind of popped out the other end a non-believer, I had that question, and I came across somebody who said, well, some pots are made to be broken.
My Lyft driver told me that the other night.
Yeah?
Yes.
Holy shit, is that fucking terrible or what? So God intentionally created some people to go to hell. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. If God made everything, knows where it's going, knows where they're going, and all of that, he's creating people to send to eternal torment.
I mean, at least that person follows through that internal logic to its natural conclusion and doesn't try to take a hard left, but still, that's terrible.
Right?
That's awful.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a Lyft driver, don't say those things to your passengers. That's disturbing.
How the hell did that even happen?
I was wearing a Godless Bitches shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
Fair.
That's fair. All right.
I realized this afterwards. It's like, oh, that's why. Okay.
Who would you like to talk to next?
Let's talk to Eli in Oklahoma City.
All right. Eli in OKC. You're talking to Eric and V.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Oh.
I'm doing great. Eric, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations on still having your teeth. Very happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy about it, too. Although, if they had all fallen out on the 13th, wouldn't that have been something?
I mean, yeah. I don't know if I'd still be an atheist. I'd probably, be in the voodoo at that point. So.
Well, I would definitely be giving it another look. That's for sure.
Although the show name probably wouldn't have to change. Like if
Hey!
it converted to voodoo or Buddhism or whatever.
Ocean is hearing what you're saying and losing his shit right now.
Hi, Ocean. Oh, yep.
Oh, nice. Nice. Where did that... Why, though? But who took the time to do... I don't care if... Sorry. Eli, somebody put up a Photoshop picture of me toothless.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Sorry. Eli, please. What were we talking about?
Well, good. Yeah, I did want to tell you really quick, too. I was in your Twitch last night. We spoke just briefly, so I'm the Dungeon Master. Hi, hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically where I'm at right now is kind of like briefly how I described to you last night, Eric. I deconverted last year. You guys both, V and Eric, were a huge, huge part of that. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys so much.
Yay.
But yeah, so basically I boil it down like this. I started 2019 as a heathen, starting 2020 as godless heathen. So I'm kind of like past or coming out the tail end of that angry atheist phase, I feel like. Kind of had the time to rage and get a bunch of stuff off my chest and stuff like that. So now I'm kind of just wondering, like, what's next, you know? And additionally, for the bridges that didn't get burned over the course of that deconversion, I'm just sort of wondering, for the ones that sort of stagnated and the ones that are just kind of like silent and don't really know where we stand at this point, is it worth diving into those to try to see if we can, like, salvage a friendship or, like, you know, forge a new friendship?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's a great question.
It is. And it's totally up to you.
I think one thing that I think you say a lot is sometimes a Christian person will hear that a friend or a sibling or a child is an atheist and internalize that as, I don't want to talk to you, or I'm done being your friend, or this relationship doesn't mean anything to me anymore. So that might be part of why some of these friendships have just kind of fallen off. So I don't think it would be bad at all. I think it would be great to reach out, as long as you know that you're not going to be met with anger. Then I think trying to salvage those relationships would do a whole lot, not just for you, because one thing that I noticed is that a lot of the time, and I realized it since coming down here, because down here I'm surrounded by atheists, and it's amazing, and I love it, and everybody should come to Austin. But also, it really helps to have Christian friends and to have Christian family members, because you don't get stuck in that bubble of stereotyping the other person, of seeing Christians as straw men, you know?
Right.
It's going to be helpful for you to have those friendships, and it will be infinitely helpful for them to have a friend who is an atheist, who is still the same guy that they love, you know? So I think I think for that piece, I am definitely on board the whole, see if you can salvage these relationships, or, like you said, forge new ones.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. I think, like, I feel like I was kind of on the same page. It's something that just me and my personality, I want to do. I'd rather, like, take the hit and take a risk on, you know, like, keeping that friendship. But I feel like I just needed that little bit of push and reassurance. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and just kind of to just dovetail in a little bit before you go. What I used to tell people is, hey, your view on one thing changed. You're still Eli. And they might not know that. But I've talked to enough people who've convinced me that I probably shouldn't say that, because I know that I needed to learn who I am and develop who I am post-religion. And I needed to find out who this person is and come to love him. And wherever you are on that path, maybe that Eli is different. But you still have these people that you care about. And reaching out and saying, hey, I want to have a relationship with you, is fantastic. Just know that you're not compelled to. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. And it's okay.
Yeah. And, you know, I think this happened for me. I changed a lot before I became an atheist. And so my family was holding on to, at least they're still a Christian, right? At least they still believe the same. Even if they're so different from the person that I knew before, they are still a Christian. And then when that piece fell off, then it was like, all right, they're different now. They're a different person. So that could also be the case. It might be that you have changed a lot, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back for some people. So, and again, if someone doesn't want to be your friend anymore because of this, that says a lot about them and nothing about you.
Thank you.
It's good to know one way or the other whether or not they want to be in your life. As far as what to do next, get involved if you can. Whether that's online or whether that's in a local activist group, that would be my suggestion. Yeah. You don't. Not everybody needs to start a show if that's not something they want to do. Like, there's no one right way to be an atheist.
There are shitty ways, though.
Sure.
That's true.
If you get involved, have you seen Tumblr atheists? It's real bad, man.
They leave Twitter atheists in the dust.
Like, it is rough.
Man.
And the fact is there are so many self-righteous, smug, shitty people who are the loudest and in the front and are noticed, that becomes the stereotype that people associate with us.
Yeah, totally.
Be you, so that people can stop seeing that as the representation of atheism.
That's really helpful. I really appreciate that.
Rock on. Well, happy to help. And that was really touching that you said that we've helped you along the way. We're really glad.
That's very validating. Thank you.
Hope you stick around, man. And let us know how you're doing.
Yeah. Call back in.
All right, definitely. Cheers, guys.
Take
Cheers.
care. Aw. Yay.
I'm writing that all the rest of today.
Good. That's better than the Twitter thing.
Yes.
Who would you like to talk to next?
Let's talk to JL in
Sure.
Texas.
All right. And just so people know, we did have a line open up. So we've got a couple atheists who are waiting, but we want to talk to some theists, some religious people. If you want to talk to us, if you want to convince us, if you want to make your case for Christ, now's the time. If you believe in the flat earth, if you think that reptilians are a thing, if you think that we're off, let us know, because that would be fucking awesome. 512-686-0279.
Fair warning, though, if you do come in touting the actual case for Christ, we will laugh at you.
I mean, after, going through it, but yes, hopefully you'll laugh with us. Hey, JL.
Hi, how's it going?
Doing well.
Good.
What'd you want to talk about?
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much, Eric, for taking my call. It's something really quick. It's kind of inspired by the live debate I watched with Matt last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been I've been watching y'all for years and kind of having my own debates and engaging in my own arguments. And something that I'm kind of tussling with in my own way. It seems to be that every single argument or debate that I've been involved in myself, it always kind of boils down to faith. And it's faith in, whatever theists put their faith in. And it seems to be the root of the issue, that's the point. And every other topic that is danced around just is seeming more and more to me like semantics. Yeah. And it doesn't really get anywhere. It's kind of like baby steps, when the root of the issue is kind of like why they believe and where their faith is coming from. And I'm kind of talking on that because now it's more, every time I get into a debate or an argument, it's kind of like, I got to go through all these hoops and dance around this, and it's just, maybe I'm just losing my patience with it. But or quite possibly I'm missing something, and I was hoping you might have some insight into that.
Yeah. My first instinct would be to say that while I agree that a lot of this comes down to just faith and talking about that, have you deconverted, JL, or have you always been an atheist?
Yes. Oh, I was always atheist. I was actually confirmed Methodist, and my deconversion process, I would say, took about 5 years if I were to put a number on it.
Okay. But
it was a slow process. Doing the work myself and coming, using the tools that I have, and of course educating myself. But
right.
But yes.
But so then,
converted atheist.
Then you know how this works. Semantics semantics as a communication tactic is used by churches all the time. They take words and they make them mean other things, or they take words and they give you alternate definitions, or they take words and they instill emotional responses to those words. So I think that the focus on semantics and the focus on, well, what do you mean when you say this? And what can we agree on a definition for this is extremely important, because that is part of the deprogramming process that gets us to then talk honestly about that core issue, which is faith. So for me, it's understanding that the first line of defense is going to be, I understand what this other person is talking about because I have all of these definitions in my head. My pastor taught me these definitions. So then talking about faith is going to be a lot harder because we're going to be talking past each other. So for me, yes, it gets fucking hard when you have to sit down every time and you're like, okay, tell me what you mean by God, tell me what you mean by belief, tell me what you mean by creator. Like all of these terms that they think that they know, and you think you know, you have to come to some kind of common ground there before you can move forward. So that's where I fall on that.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. The only thing that I would add is just a little bit of personal context if it helps. And that is, during my search, it wound up ending at faith over and over and over again. Well, why should I? How do I know? Can you tell me a little bit more? You know, you seem to have this really, really strong view of your religion. Please, how are you so confident? And you dig and you dig and you dig. And every time you get to the bedrock, which is faith. And I look back at it and I remember hearing, these slogans, walk by faith, right? And it makes sense. It's a good way to turn your brain off. Hey, I think that, not questioning is valuable, Well, no, that's not how that works. And it just took time. But yeah, I was told you got to have faith. At some point, you have to have faith. You have faith in something. And I remember thinking, well, maybe if I just find faith, I thought that was one of those instances where I thought I was broken. Because I thought, well, all of these people can have faith and I don't. What's wrong with me? How come everybody else, you too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was, what's wrong with me? How come everybody else believes this, but there's something about it that just doesn't fit?
Agreed.
Yeah. So where I was going with that is faith, in my experience, has been a catch-all term. And it's been a catch-all term that means I don't know, could just believe it anyway. And then later on, I heard better definitions, which wound up being belief without evidence or unsubstantiated belief. Was Aaron Ross as saying but you can't know, something like that?
I don't
something you can't know. I don't know. Anyway.
It seems to be that, and many times when having a conversation, you get down, you finally dig yourself down to that bedrock, and you're setting your charges and everything. Then the first thing, it actually happened a couple of days ago. The first time it ever happened to me was in a discussion, and someone straight up Proverbs 26:4'd me. Ooh. And it was like just a blatant line out of Proverbs that just basically says, don't engage with people who question you. Just don't engage with fools, I think is what it states. I forget the words themselves. So they actually have, like theists actually, or Christians, I should say, who follow the Bible actually have that legitimate line where they can just be like, boom, no, I'm done. Yeah, and,
there are a couple of those, unfortunately.
Is it the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God?
You got it. Yeah. And then it was weird because 26:4 and then 26:5, like, directly contradicts the previous one. It's very, very strange. So, but I mean, I was running into this kind of like wall, and I was like, this, it's got to be faith. You've got to go after faith. And I hear all these debates, and they're wonderful, and they taught me so much about logic arguments and not falling into fallacies, and and making sure you have a coherent line of thought. And I was just like, yeah, these are great for educational purposes, which is what this is. But ultimately, we're trying to get to the bedrock of it, and it just seemed like it wasn't happening. And I was like, so I think my takeaway from this is that I'm going to look for more patience and open my mind up to be a little bit more easygoing, not as stringent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends on the other person as well. But yeah, I think I like to reference the analogy you said earlier. For me, it's less like laying charges on bedrock and more like the process that archaeologists have to go through, where they take a toothbrush and just kind of like scrape the dirt away from a pot for like 10 hours. So unfortunately, sometimes it's more like that.
My tolerance for intellectual dishonesty is much, much lower than your average individual. So I can hear so much, and then I just kind of like, I bristle. So.
Well,
but that just goes to show that I still have much to work on myself.
Oh, for sure. What helps me is recognizing that some people have picked up dishonest tactics, but that does not necessarily make them dishonest. They learned that, this is the way you respond to a thing. I had a precept 2 weeks ago tell me, I know God exists, I just deny it. And super sweet guy. And when you talk to him, he wound up being super honest about a lot of things. And I kind of walked away from it thinking, this guy just has got a really bad tactic. What he learned, with tag is just not good. It doesn't mean the guy's not good. It just means he's practiced something that really doesn't gel with his character.
Yeah. So no bad students, only bad teachers.
Oh no, there's some bad
they're
students.
Definitely bad students.
Last week.
Well, I mean,
3 days ago.
Thursday, yeah, 3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago. I talked to a dude who said that if you say I don't know, you cede the argument. You lose. If you say I don't know, then the other person wins, and they are correct. And my jaw just hit the floor, and I looked at the live chat, and everybody else's jaws hit the floor. It was amazing. No, that was a bad student.
But he was taught that. To be fair, this is someone ingrained or entrenched or got him entrenched in that kind of viewpoint. So
I think that might be society, though. I mean, we value knowing a thing so much more than saying I don't know. People vilify this idea that you don't know. It's better to come up with something than to admit that you don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, that's why I got into the habit of saying, and I need to say it more on Talk Heathen. I used to say it all the time at the beginning. The most intellectually honest thing you can do is say I don't know, because it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah. But
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Take care, man. Thank you for calling in.
You as well. And I have to say, you do look better with teeth than without. So, thank you guys so much for taking my call. You'll have a wonderful afternoon. Okay.
Thank you. You as well.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And I want to ride that wave because I really want to talk to Charlie.
All right, let's talk with Charlie.
Charlie in Yakima, Washington.
Hi, it's Yakima, but yes.
Yakima.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Before we get started, Vi, I just wanted to say thank you so much. We emailed back and forth a while back.
Yes, I remember.
Everything that you said and did to me helped me so much, and I just wanted to say thanks.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Just to catch you up, Eric, because you may not know, I think I may have emailed you. I deconverted back a year ago.
Oh, welcome.
And I've been slowly but surely going through this process. And kind of what's happened for me recently, Vi, catching everybody up, is I got a hold of something called the BITE model.
Ooh.
And I made a realization that I was in a cult run by my mother. So my question for you guys is, and I know you guys have gone through this process, how long does this process usually take, first of all? And second of all, have you talked with anybody else that's gone through the BITE model? And my question about that was, how did they get past some of this stuff?
Great questions.
You take this first. I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. So Charlie, actually, I talked about this with on Mind Shift podcast, I believe sometime in November or October. And I empathize. I was also part of a family cult. And it was after discovering the BITE model, which, for those of you who don't know, the BITE model is behavioral control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. And if you have all four of those things, the likelihood is that you were in an environment that could be classified as a cult. And I realized, that's me. That was me. I definitely had to deal with that. And that by itself was massively reassuring to know that, okay, this is something that other people have gone through. This is something with a name, and this isn't me overreacting or making things up. Because unfortunately, those assumptions that I'm just making it up or overreacting are part of what happens when you've been living in the BITE model for a long time.
Exactly.
Yep. So I fully empathize with you there. In terms of how long it takes, do you mean how long it takes to kind of fully flush that out of your system, or what?
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is to be able to start to become the real you. That was something Eric was just talking about. becoming the real you, becoming who you really are. I'm still learning to love that part of me that's the real me. I feel like I have woken up from this long slumber of a dream of what I was whenever I was involved in this family cult. And I am starting to learn who I am. So I was wondering about that process of learning who you are and be able to finally come to a place where you're like, okay, I know and I like who I am. I mean, how long does that usually take?
Yeah. Man, I wish we could come to a consensus on that. But
that is a really hard, some people take a lifetime. And you're always going to be changing. But I think a decent indicator is the hurt.
Yeah.
It hurts. Yeah. It hurts to grow.
It does.
And I mean...
And it's scary, too, because it's like you thought you knew who you were, and now all these changes are happening, and they're happening so fast. I mean, I'm doing things that back then I would thought, God was going to strike me down if I did these things. And I'm doing them almost in a way, I hate to say this, but almost in a way as like a test. It's like, okay, if you're really out there, then you can strike me down. There's nothing happening anymore. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. None of this was true. But then again, it's kind of scary. Like, who am I then if I can do these things that I never could do before?
Yeah.
How far will I go? And then the other thing is just the dreams. Like, I'll go do something that I know I wasn't supposed to do, but that programming kicks in and I'll have that horrible dream, like, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how long will this take? It's been a year. How long will it take?
Yeah. I think, honestly, the fact that you are pushing yourself and doing things that scare you is, like Eric said, a good indicator that you're on the right track and that you're making that progress. And honestly, Charlie, a year feels like a long time, but it really isn't that long. You're not behind because you're still having nightmares about this. You're not where you're supposed to be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're on time for you. And one thing that I would suggest is, so one thing that helped me a lot was once I realized that I had been affected by the bite model, was going to a therapist and focusing on some of the ones that I found gave me the most pause. So for me, information control, once I got out of that, I was like, cool, all the information, give it to me now. And I feel like I left that behind pretty quick. Thought control and emotional control, though, felt a little bit harder to overcome, especially emotional control. And it's something I still struggle with. And that's not a process that I can see ending anytime soon. I think I'll get better at allowing my emotions to be honest and open and not regulated by what is other people going to think and is this really how I'm feeling and all of that. But knowing that that's something you're working on and going to a therapist to work on that specifically was massively helpful for me. Do you have somebody you can talk to about that kind of stuff?
I do have a therapist I've been seeing recently. We've been primarily dealing with some other issues, but we've been opening up recently and beginning to talk about this and the need for me to kind of deal with this. We've talked a little bit about the dreams. Those I think are the hardest to wake up.
Yeah.
It's literally shaking and crying and like tears on your face. You're waking up with that, and you just for a few seconds felt like you were falling into hell. It is a very hard thing to go through, and that happens almost nightly for me.
Charlie, I want to give you the biggest hug. Aw, make sure you come by Austin sometime. We're giving you hugs over here. We wish you were here.
Yeah.
I wish I was there too, but it's a long way to go. I'm all the way up in the top part of the United
You're about as far away as you can be.
True enough.
Exactly.
But hey, Portland is not as far from Washington, and I'll be there in February. So if you want to make a trip down, I'm going to be there February 20th through the 26th, and depending on how many people reach out.
Seattle?
Portland.
Because of course.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, I could probably do that. When are you going?
I'm going to be there from the 20th to the 26th of February. I don't know exactly the dates that I'm going to have people have a kind of a meet and greet, but I have your email, so I will let you know when that date is.
I appreciate it, because I could definitely use a hug, but I'm accepting the virtual hug, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. And just I wanted to ask you, have you seen anything by Genetically Modified Skeptic?
No, I haven't. Genetically Modified Skeptic. Okay.
Yes.
I will go look at that.
Please do. So Genetically Modified Skeptic, his name's Drew, and he has done actually a lot of videos about cults. And the bite model, I see people in the live chat asking, what the hell is that? It is a model of cults that was created by Dr. Stephen Hassan that breaks down cults into very, very specific categories. And it's behavior, information,
Thought, and emotion.
and each of those have, and just the way they go through it and the way that they break it down is phenomenal. Also, he's a dear friend, so definitely check out GM Skeptic.
Okay.
For sure.
Definitely. So, yeah, definitely. I will check into that, because I definitely am needing to kind of like, you know, be able to branch out and talk with people that also are dealing, not just with atheism, but also with the other deal. I mean, I think I was a little surprised. I mean, I'm like going, I knew my mother was supposed to be, all right, she started off going to school to be a Baptist minister. She left the Baptist church because they wouldn't let her preach, and then started a home church. So I knew about all of that part of it, but I didn't think anything was bad about that per se until I sat down and realized, you know, oh, you can't go to the doctor to get your teeth fixed because God's going to heal that, but my teeth never get fixed. Just all of those types of things, and not allowing me to get on the internet to study anything, and, you know, always having to be there whenever I had to go, you know, even like with school, she went through everything, and like she would go through the textbook and mark out pieces of them. And when I went to public school, because that's a lie and it's against God, and just total control over every bit of the information I got, what I'm supposed to feel, what I'm not, what I was allowed to do. I mean, we were never even allowed to celebrate Christmas or celebrate Halloween, of course. You would that. Yeah. But,
what you're describing is almost word for word my experience as well. I remember the horror of being 13 or 14 and having an infection and asking to go to the doctor, and it was a joke, but my dad was like, don't you just want to let it kill you so you can meet God? I was like,
what the fuck?
No, I'd prefer to get antibiotics. That would be preferable. But no, I fully empathize with you. And I don't know if you were watching the video, but you got some love rings earlier.
Oh, thank you. I can't see the video because I'm here, but I will go back and look at it.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of love in the chat too, so make sure to check it out.
Definitely.
I will.
Thank you so much for calling in, Charlie. I will definitely be in touch with you about dates for Portland.
Awesome. I definitely want to see you there.
Awesome.
Can I give you one more suggestion?
Give you a hug.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Go ahead.
Didn't mean to jump in. One more suggestion. Another really good friend is Telltale. He came out of Jehovah's Witnesses and does a lot of, talking about how that kind of stuff fits in as well. Super, super neat dude. So, and a great artist. So definitely GM Skeptic and Telltale.
Okay. Definitely will.
Rock on. Thank you, Charlie.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys again for talking to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
And thank you for all that you do.
Thanks for listening.
Okay.
Aw. Look at that. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
You're speaking up and people are finding that voice. That's awesome.
It's exciting. Almost as exciting as the fact that I'm still ahead of you on Twitter.
Are you? By how much?
1.
By 1. You motherfucker. Someone in the audience was just like, I just subscribed to V. That's me. Look, I've never begged before. And I won't. It's okay.
You're using it on this. You got one.
Nope. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. What I will do is thank the patrons before we take the next call.
Ooh, nice segue.
Right?
Nice segue.
I would like to thank our top 5 patrons: Charlotte Crum, Desert Heathen, Bethany P, Cully, Rebo. 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's 5. Thank you so much for being our top 5 patrons. If you'd like to become a patron and have your name read out on the air, you can go to patreon.com/Talk Heathen to me. Thank you. And now I'm ready to move into the next call.
All right.
I'm thinking Timothy.
Yeah, let's jump to Timmy.
In California.
Sorry, I just said Timmy. Timothy is the name of my younger brother, so every time I see Timothy, I'm like, Timmy. Sorry.
I think South Park when you say Timmy. Okay.
Didn't mean to
That's okay.
make this awkward and familiar.
What would you like to talk about, Timothy?
Hello. Thank you guys for having the show. I'm happy that Charlie and V are in better places now. But really, I wanted to talk about how I have a lot of issues practicing skepticism because I feel like so much of our knowledge is secondhand, and I don't know like how you really work with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd also like to. What got me to call in was the episode from a couple of weeks ago when Josh was calling about the hollow moon and the aliens and and all that.
Yeah, the moon that rotates.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah. The one I real fucked up.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So
you know, I actually I've gotten so much shit about the moon thing. And I deserve it. I fucked up. And it's hilarious. But I've been working on a website. I just bought the domain and I need to build the entire thing. It's just lorem ipsum right now.
Like title lock is real.
No. It's ericdmurphy.com. Eric D. Murphy, the moon guy. And that's all that's there so far.
Just embracing it.
Yeah. Gotta lean into it.
All right.
What's up?
Right. Cool. So the thing is, not knowing something is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we learn. At first I was thrown off just like how hard you were fighting that the moon spun faster. But what really got me was the quick turnaround. Like what convinced you that tidal lock was real in I guess your chat?
Oh my!
Like what was able to convince you so quickly? Like I understand you were already in a position to not trust what Josh was saying based on his previous claims. So you're like, no.
Absolutely. So while I explain it, could I get a volunteer to walk in here really quick? Rachel, could you help me out, please?
Matt's the one with the magic show, Eric, just so you know.
Right. Could you get the 2 books that are in the back seat of my car, please?
Back seat of your car? Sure.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was given some educational materials. I wanted to share them on the show. So the first hint was when I looked at the live chat and I saw people in horror going, no! And then I looked out on the sea of faces of people going, no! And then I looked down at the comments from the people in the back, and they were like, what are you doing? And that was a hint. The other thing is I have the internet right here at my fingertips, and I looked at it and checked it out, and seeing consistently people who have tracked the moon and had any a third grade education were able to convince me. And also it's not a remarkable claim. I mean, whether or not we saw the moon in its entirety doesn't change the way I understand the universe. It just means it changes the way I understand the way the moon spins.
Right.
And honestly, I really do pride myself on going, hey, you know what? I fucked up. Let's make this better.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Which is important.
And so as soon as I saw I fucked up, I wanted to own it and go, hey, you know what? I fucked up. Thank you so much. And
yeah, and that was awesome.
It also helps that I have friends who care. So Matt Dillahunty was in the audience, and he just thought that was fucking hilarious. So he ran down to the half-price books just down the street, and I step out of the studio. I take my earbuds off, and Matt goes, Eric, I went and bought you some educational materials. Here you go. And he hands me these. You'll see them come up. They're children's moon books.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
It's like Why the Moon Changes.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, it's fucking wonderful. But honestly, yeah, having friends like that is great. But I think you're probably trying to dive into a deeper question: is how do we know truth, right? Capital T truth versus lowercase t truth, and how do we determine that? Is that about right?
I think it's that, but also like sources, because I remember Josh was saying that like he picked up this stuff from documentaries he had been watching, and you and Jen, right, I think,
Aldrich,
were like no, documentaries, yes, but you both had on hand kind of the idea of the Earth being blasted with something and a chunk of it spinning off and becoming the moon. Was that through personal research, or was it from a documentary? Was it from reading something and like?
That's half remembered through primary education, and then you just got to go back and check. And honestly, I should have said I don't know. I should have said I don't know, because yeah, it happened in third grade, and I don't remember everything from third grade. But that's not an excuse for opening my mouth when I should have said I don't know. Now, at what point does the rubber meet the road? That's kind of the bigger question. And there are a whole lot. Let's get the simple stuff out of the way. If you want to talk about capital T truth, if you want to talk about whether or not something absolutely is, regardless of whether or not you like it, we can determine that in things that we define as such, right? So the people, like to talk about married bachelors, right? All bachelors are not married. Why? Because we literally define it that way. We can say all bachelors are not married. When we talk about things that we define to be true, then we can talk about deductive logic and move into that. But we really don't have access to that in our lives, because every moment, everything that we experience is just anecdotal. It's just our experience. And so how do you get away from the black swan fallacy, right? The black swan fallacy being all swans that I've ever seen are white, therefore there are no black swans. Or yeah. And
then people say, oh, but I saw a black swan.
Well, just to make the absolute statement that black swans can't exist.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that? Well, first off, with just a lot of bit of humility. Recognize, hey, you know what? I don't have all the facts. And that just means that I have a lot to learn, and I need to apportion my belief to the evidence. When there's a lot of evidence of a thing, when you can see, and especially across multiple fields, right? We talk about things like evolution. And how do you know evolution is true? Well, because different areas of study have predicted things that they've been able to find, not just with their peers, but in entirely different places. And so when you're able to get that kind of thing that is being verified by others, it helps. It compiles. But if it's something simple, if I told you, I had Cheerios for breakfast, who the fuck cares? Right? If you're going to tell me, hey, you had a pastrami sandwich for lunch, cool. I believe you. I don't care, but if you wanted me to invest my money, into a fund that you've put together, then I want to know a whole lot about you. I want to know what your history is and how long you've been doing this for. And you kind of go that way. You really don't know anything outside of that you exist, that cogito ergo sum. You could be a brain in a vat, but you have to live as if you're not. You have to live with the best information that you have available.
And I think with the evolution statement, I know you have to argue for evolution with all sorts of people, and again, episode from a couple of weeks ago, you were talking with Rudy, and Rudy's like, but you have faith in science, and
scientism,
scientism and all that, and scientific method, it does its work, but most of us as laymen we aren't in that, and we are just hearing. I think what Rudy was trying to get at was that we trust that these people know what they're doing, or maybe he doesn't, but the rest of us, that's how we So again, how do we?
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I think.
Especially when you get I don't know, fringe archaeology.
Yeah, I think
the
one thing that I'd say is, we don't, I don't have an advanced science degree. Eric doesn't have one unless he's been keeping it a secret. To throw a stop with the moon comment to make it seem like you weren't sitting on a biochemistry master's.
Could you imagine?
But we can, right? The information is available to us if we want to invest years of study into it, right? I can sign up at UT to get another degree and have it be science focused, and the only limitation on that would be my ability to understand math and science, which is essentially impossible at this point. But but no, the information is there. Whether or not we can access it in our day-to-day is different. And I say that the reason people can go to school, get these degrees, do the research, and come to the same conclusions, right? And that's the clincher right there, because people can go to theology school, get a theology degree, but come out wildly on this side of things or over here, and there's so much discordant, this is what it means, this is what it means, and that is troublesome for me. Whereas if I go get a science degree of whatever kind, I am going to learn how to do it and come to the conclusions that are predictable and predicted by others. So no, personally, I am going to have to take science on quote-unquote faith, because I don't have...
Because of track record?
No! The difference is evidence.
The difference is evidence. But understanding where Timothy's coming from in terms of saying, I'm taking a scientist's word for it as opposed to a pastor's word for it. I understand where that thought process comes from. The difference is I could also then become a scientist and prove that to myself. And it's not the same on the other end.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was coherent at all.
To the degree that it needed to be communicated, yes.
Okay, thank you. That was shade, but I deserve it. I deserve that.
I do the same thing. No worries.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's it, is apportion your belief to the evidence and find those things that have a wealth of evidence, and I think that's what Vi was saying is, you go to a university and you find mountains of evidence on things that we've studied. We don't teach things we don't, we haven't put work into studying. And the more there is behind it, the more you can have a good degree of confidence. But even then, let's say you get to 99.9 bar. Don't say you have 100%, because you don't. You could be wrong. And as long as we at least have that bit of humility, then maybe there's hope that we can keep learning.
I'm nodding.
Rock on. Well, hopefully that helped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool. I just wanted to get some thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was a great question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we at on Twitter followers? Now you've got me obsessing.
Last I checked, we were tied.
We were tied? Okay, we got 2502. I got 2503.
Okay, it's still on. Come on, you guys, don't let me down.
He's going to shoot past me by next week. I know. I've got to just enjoy this in the moment.
Also, someone was nice enough to point out I've also been on Twitter on this account like a third of the amount of time that you have, so.
Yes, and you tweet 50 times more than I do.
I put in the work, you mean?
You put in the, yeah.
I communicate with my followers.
Mm-hmm.
I care about their insight.
Hold on. I didn't say I don't care. I don't tweet very much.
He cares. He just doesn't tweet. So you know what you're getting if you follow him.
You get updates. You find out what I'm up to, and you get to know how you can engage with me.
But I also retweet his updates about what he's doing. So you get both by following me.
Is this shade for shade? Is that what's going on? You're like, you know what? I got to throw just a little bit back. Okay.
Hey, I promised I was going to be insufferable, and I delivered. All right. Want to talk to ISIS?
Please. ISIS in Indiana, please save me.
I'm not sure if I can save you, but
what would you like to talk about?
I'm so nervous right now. I can't believe I'm on the phone with you guys.
Don't be.
I know. I'm trying to calm myself down. Like my heart is racing 20 miles per hour. It feels like.
Aw, you're good. Take your time. What's up? What'd you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm having trouble deconverting.
Okay.
Not really. Yes and no. So it's kind of tough for me to talk about. So I've been basically grown up in the church or raised up in the church most of my life as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a young adult, there was a part of my life where I decided I wasn't going to go. Right. But after you've been basically domesticated into religion, it becomes a part of you. So when I became an adult, I went back. And to the extent of me becoming a minister, twice ordained. And as I studied to try to prove that what I was believing in was to be true, so I could have evidence and proof if I was ever approached by someone that needed me to prove what I was teaching and believing to be true,
Mm-hmm.
I found the contrary of what I thought I was going to find. And now I'm faced with this, I want to say it's an issue, but this puzzle of trying to basically put my life back together, unlearn everything that's been taught to me as being true. I've come across anger and resentment and frustration. Like all these emotions are building up in me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, I know this is not true. And then other days I'm like, okay, well, where the heck did that come from? You know, I don't have proof that this is true, and I don't want to believe it anymore because I don't have evidence that what people have been telling me and what I've been telling everybody else to be true. But there's so much that's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes I have a hard time articulating via speech because I'm a writer.
Yeah, I feel you there.
I hope that was clear enough for you guys to understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds very similar to a lot of the stories that I've heard and a lot of what I experienced. I wanted to be, I like knowing things, right? And knowing about God and your belief system is the most important kind of knowing there is when you're in that culture. And so of course you're going to do research, and that's admirable that you wanted to have those answers ready for other people. But yeah, it's a very common story. I wanted to help convert other people and ended up deconverting myself by accident. Yeah, I feel that. In terms of how much there is still to know and how much you don't know, it's scary. It is. It's scary to realize you don't have the answers to everything, and that it's not a let go and let God situation anymore. You don't get to say, I don't know, but that's fine. I don't need to know. God knows, and I can now stop thinking about it. It requires a lot more energy, in a way, to actually go out and pursue answers to things that you don't know. And it also requires that you are able to kind of prioritize what is important and what you need to know now and what you don't need to know right now. So I'm curious, can you give me an example of something that is kind of scary and unknown right now that maybe you're struggling with?
Prior to, well, the weird thing about it was after I decided to just leave the church in general, because I was like, okay, well, I can't put on a poker face. You know, like I can't continue to do this, and yet I not believe it, and I'm up there preaching, but I'm not believing anything that's coming out of my mouth. So because of guilt of me teaching something that I wasn't living, I couldn't do it anymore. And so surprisingly, it was like a relief the first few months. But then, you know, the concept of hell came in, and I'm like, okay, well, can I be afraid of that if I'm not sure if it's even reality, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm scared of it, sometimes I'm not. Really, it's just like, it depends on the day. Like, sometimes I'm worried about, okay, if I die, am I going to go somewhere? Am I going to be punished? Really, it depends on the day, the hour, the minute. A lot of it is me really coming out of people, you know, letting people know that this is not what I believe anymore. That has been the biggest struggle. I've already lost a lot of people in my life that I considered as friends, and people that I've associated with myself in the congregation that I thought would never leave me have, to the point of calling me Satan himself. So that's another scary thing. It's very lonely.
Yeah.
I mean, not having the support.
Yeah. Something you said struck me. You said, what if I die and I'm punished? And to me, I had a similar fear. And then I realized, what would I be being punished for? Because the reason I'm not going to church anymore is because I'm too honest to go to church anymore. I am not going to stand around people and lie about where I am and what I think and what I believe. If there is a God and that God is all good, that God is going to respect my honesty more than my showing up on a given Sunday and lying to his face about believing in him or not. You are being amazingly, radically, painfully honest right now, not only with yourself, but with other people in your life, and it's costing you. And that is a level of honesty that honestly Christians should respect, because that's what they're all about, right? And that's what their God is allegedly all about.
You would think.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think. No, so I think that realizing that if there is an all-good God in a hypothetical universe, who then that God is going to respect the fact that you are being honest right now. And if that God is going to punish you for being honest, it's not a God you want to worship anyway, right?
Right.
And
that's, you know, those are the questions that I have, you know, like sometimes I try to, I don't want to say debate, but have a discussion with other Christians or, you know, Christians that I've I previously fellowshipped with. And I will tell them, okay, well, these are the things that I found in the Bible, rape and slavery and kidnapping, all kinds of things that morally I just cannot follow. That's not, why is he so angry, and they just kind of slide right by it. I'm like, you still haven't answered my question. Like, you are okay with this. Oh, well, that's the Old Testament. We can't have one without the other. Like,
right. Gonna throw the Old Testament out. What's Jesus coming for to save us from again?
Yeah, it's the Mosaic Law.
Yeah,
it's the Mosaic Law.
Right.
Jesus established a new covenant. Didn't you know? Although I'll tell you right now, I grabbed a Bible and I ripped the Old Testament out and I was like, okay, so I can get rid of it. They were not impressed.
No.
Nope.
No.
But as far as your other fears are concerned too, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there was two things that you said that really kind of jumped out to me. One of them was fear of, how could you be afraid of something that's not there? And I love watching horror movies that I know aren't real. And they scare the ever-loving shit out of me. I remember watching The Ring back when that came out and sleeping with the lights on. And I think that if you really internalize the idea of hell, eternal torment, that just means that you were able to actually get your mind around, or at least start to comprehend the horror that is hell. Yeah, that kind of fear is, I used to be afraid of clowns.
I'm still afraid of clowns.
Yeah? Oh, okay. No, this it's going to be a good Halloween.
I was a clown last Halloween. I am
No, you were the Mad Hatter last Halloween.
I had clown makeup on. You were concerned. Okay. Sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. I've been... but fear of hell, it's totally understandable, and it's going to take time. And sometimes, and honestly, when it comes to healing, it's never as quick as you want it to be. Mm-hmm. You're sitting back and going, oh my gosh, how has it taken this long? Yep. Mm-hmm. And the other piece that really stood out to me is when you said you feel alone.
Yes.
ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
Is it ISIS?
Yes.
That's one of the prime reasons I wanted to start Talk Heathen. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did this because one of the biggest things we want to say is you're not alone. Because I needed to hear that. And because there's so many people who've walked into here when I started volunteering who just needed to hear that. Someone to say, hey, it's okay. This isn't a new path that you're treading. It's new for you, but other people have walked it too. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, yeah. ISIS. It will.
I try to keep positive.
And you're definitely not alone. Just look in the live chat.
Like, I'm trying not to have tears. I'm like, it gets me emotional sometimes.
Well, yeah.
Like all your life, that's all I knew. They were family, or we had picnics together, went to movies and bowling, and they become part of your family. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when you try to when that connection, that's the only thing that's connecting you guys, basically. And then you would think that in spite of your beliefs or who you are as an individual or who you become as a human being, that if the love is genuine, then no matter what you do as an individual, they will still be there. But they're not. Mm-hmm. And so here I am trying to figure out how to get this out there to people, because some of them still see me as Minister ISIS, right? Mm-hmm. So when I post something or when I say something, I don't believe that anymore, then the conflict comes. And I'm like, right. I understand that you guys, you know me from who I used to be, but this is not who I am anymore. Like, I can't continue to walk that path because I just can't do it.
Isis, have you heard of the Clergy Project?
Actually, I just joined the Clergy Project.
Oh, good.
They're wonderful.
Yay.
That's good.
Yes. Yes. And they're very supportive, and they have helped me tremendously. And I've also tried to connect myself with some atheist friends on Facebook. So it's not as bad as it was, but it's still very hurtful.
Yeah.
You know, the pain is not gone. And then I feel angry at myself because now I'm on the other end of the rod. So when I say things and I get the judgment from the Christians, or, you know, the hate or the condemnation, or, you know, whatever it is, I'm like, man, that used to be me. I used to treat people like crap. You know, I was a terrible person, and that just beats me down.
Well,
a lot of the time as well.
When you were a minister, when you were on that other side of the rod, as you say, you were doing it out of a sense of concern and love for the other people, though, right? It was misguided, but it wasn't out of malice.
I mean, you think that you're doing it out of love, but then when it's dished out to you, it definitely doesn't feel like love at all.
It can be helpful, though, maybe to realize that they think that's what they're doing, at least. And that's not making excuses for them. And that's not saying you don't have every right to be angry and upset and feel betrayed, because you do. But remembering that when you were in their shoes, it was out of a genuine concern for the other person, because they still believe in hell, right? They still believe these things, and they want to save you, and they're doing it in a fucked up way, and it's not helpful, and it's hurtful. But I don't know. I know that helped me when I realized, oh, they're not trying to be dicks, at least most of them. They're mostly trying to actually reach out to me, and it's just backfiring terribly.
Yeah.
Right.
I can only nod and go, yep. Yep. I remember having a particularly rough night talking to a friend until almost sunrise. It was late, and I looked at him and I said, so you'll be happy in heaven? He said, it's eternal happiness. And I said, how could you be happy if you knew that I was in hell? You love me. And I'm talking to somebody I know loves me. And he just stopped. And he just started to cry. And he said, I don't know. I don't know how I could be happy knowing that you were in hell, but I want so bad for you to come back so that you don't go to hell. And the idea that he was trying to be a dick just doesn't gel. Yeah.
Yeah, as you kind of explore the Clergy Project a little bit, and as you start finding those online communities, including, you know, our Reddit, our Discord, we have places where people who watch this show come to talk, and your story will certainly be understood and empathized with there. But as you continue through this, make sure to give us a call back and let us know where you're at, and if it's questions that you've come up with that might convince you back, we want to know those. But also, if you're just struggling with something,
there's anything that should make me go back.
Yeah, that's generally the feel once you get out. You're like, what? Nothing's gonna drag me back. Well, welcome to the family, Isis. This is your community now too.
Damn straight. And you're getting love rings.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. You guys have a great day, okay?
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
I'm just thinking about that Christian friend. I miss him a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see if he would answer the phone if I called him.
Get in touch. Yeah.
Okay. Take a breath. That was really heavy.
That was heavy. We're getting a lot of really good calls today, though.
We are.
I'm loving this.
Definitely. Okay. Sorry.
You okay over there?
I am. I'm trying to remind myself of other things. Did you know that we have a soundboard now?
I do. My laptop accidentally hit it the other day.
Did it?
And interrupted a very serious conversation with a quote from Jenna that was very funny.
Nice. Yeah. So I see there's an Eric button.
There's an Eric button.
And I click the Eric button, and it says, I don't know if that went out. I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it either.
Hopefully not. It says, okay. Anyway.
All right.
It was worth a try. All right.
It's going to come back from wherever it went into the internet in like a really unfortunate moment.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We've got only a little bit of time left.
Yes, but I think we're going to take, if we run over time because Atheist Vanguard's going to start at 3, I wouldn't mind taking some of them off air on the Discord. We can move to the Discord. And
That's a good point. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So if you're waiting on hold, stick around because we still want to talk to you. So let's move to, how about Tony?
Sounds good.
Tony in Plano, Texas. You're talking to Eric and V. How are you doing?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hi there.
Hello.
Hi there. My name's Tony. I just wanted to talk to you guys about an experience I had with a friend of mine a while back. So basically what happened is that he and I decided to do some psychedelics, namely acid. And so I had some previous experience with it, and so had he. But we ended up having very different experiences that night. And he was convinced basically that he saw something like on the other side. And he was very it was something that shook him. It was very hard for him to talk to me about it. And he's just convinced that there's something else out there in one way or another. And so, obviously having done psychedelics myself, I can understand it literally feels real, obviously when you're on those substances, things you see and experience around you, because of the way it changes your brain chemistry. So my question is, how would I convince someone who has a very subjective experience that they consider realer than anything else, and yet for very obvious reasons it can't be real?
Sure. That is tough. In my experience, people who are super pro psychedelics don't want to listen. But we can give you the best we can. It's also the same reason why this is not Talk Vegan, because people get really entrenched. And I'm going to get a whole bunch of emails from vegans now. Sorry. Tony, talk to them about what the effects of it are, ask them if they would trust somebody to, accurately make them food while they were tripping balls,
Right.
If they had so many different experiences, what was the same? What was different? Do those things clash? If they clash, why? And ask, there are other things that fuck with your brain chemistry that we're not, we don't think is valid. So getting drunk, right? If you were to get drunk, does that mean that, you start to get the spins, right?
No, obviously not.
Is the world spinning? Are you understanding that the world is spinning? Nobody else just sees it? No, you're just getting ready to pass out. In fact, our audio engineer, Vern, had an example that wasn't about being drunk. It was, take a baseball bat, put your head down and spin it around it a whole bunch of times. Did you make the entire world start spinning? No. But that is your perception. So how do you know? How do you tell the difference? Well, you're fucking with your brain. And when you're throwing yourself off like that, you should be extra skeptical about what your experiences were. More real than real. It's a funny statement, especially when you ask them, what does it mean? Because I'm yet to get a solid answer. It's just, the problem is your friend doesn't necessarily sound like they want to have an honest dialogue about it. And if they don't, You can't make them.
I think that they do. It's just that like it scares them in a way, you know, like because the way he was, acting during and afterwards, he felt like the few things that he was describing to me basically is that he felt like there were, like beings that were watching us and they were constantly listening to what we were saying and scrutinizing it. And so like he's like literally afraid to like talk about the experience, like it seemed traumatic for him. So I'm not sure like how to move forward exactly. Except to like maybe like, I don't know, like suggest perhaps like a therapy or like even just talking about it like more openly or something like that. I'm not sure.
Maybe start by asking why these demons would not want to be talked about. Because and I don't know, like part of my approach might be if going the scientific, this is your brain on drugs route doesn't work, then maybe try logicking him out of it, or at least into a place where he's more comfortable talking about it. So maybe for the sake of the conversation, grant him that maybe what he saw was real, and then try and make him see how it wasn't. I know that sometimes approaching them where they're at and then helping them come out of it from there, going in and leading them out as opposed to standing outside and saying, hey, come over here, helps sometimes. So,
and just, I want to dovetail in that. Trauma does not have to necessarily be tied to something that actually happened. Mm-hmm. When you experience trauma, the healing process, whether it actually happened or not, is still a long and painful one. The best example that I can give is gaslighting. In a relationship, somebody can say, you're forgetful, you're stupid. Don't you remember you did all of these wrongs and all of these things wrong, and everybody, doesn't like you. And you can get this view of yourself that's instilled in you by somebody. All of these negative opinions, and even if they weren't real, the pain and the trauma is still the same. Mm-hmm. So that story you tell you about you can be negatively affected, and in that way, it sounds like they're suffering from trauma. As much as you can be a helpful friend, definitely look at getting some professional help for them, and you can absolutely affirm, hey, I don't believe that you actually saw this thing. I do believe that you're hurting. Mm-hmm. Reaching out in that empathetic way, that just exactly the way you said is, we'll get to the higher level stuff right now, but let's take care of you first. That might help.
I think that was all very useful advice, so I appreciate it a lot. Would you guys happen to have any like resources or books or things on this topic that I might be able to share with him? Because he's the kind of guy who loves doing like his own research and like actual research. So if I could recommend to him like a book on the subject, I'm sure that he would read it.
Actually, let's point you toward the Discord, because there are a shit ton of people who have a lot to share, and I think that you'd probably get a wealth of resources there that we would not be able to provide you off the top of our heads.
Okay.
But if you hop over to the Discord now, we're going to be going there in just a couple minutes. So we'll see you there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Yeah, and also just to say, I really, really love your show. I use this very much as like a coping mechanism when I was, coming out of my faith. So I just appreciate the work that you guys do in the ACA in general. So, keep at it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, man.
Makes it all worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got the warm fuzzies. This has just been one of those episodes.
I love it.
But those people on the line, stay on the line because we still want to talk to you.
Yes.
But before we do, is there anything else? How are we looking for Twitter?
I'm a good 14 ahead now.
No.
Yeah.
No, because I know as soon as you pass me on Twitter, I'm never gonna catch up. Okay. 2537, 2,537, 2,519. Vi La Bianca. You earned it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
For people who want to be able to get help, I definitely just want to plug a couple resources.
Yes.
The Secular Therapy Project is one of them. The Hotline Project is another. If you haven't checked out the Hotline Project, please do. It's put on by Recovering from Religion. And it's an incredible resource. And especially if you're watching this and you go, you know what? I do want to help. I do want to be able to make a change. But I live maybe in Portland, Oregon, where there's not a lot of need for boots on the ground. Check out the Hotline Project.
Yeah.
They train you. They show you how to become, a peer support who, you'll sit on the lines and people call in and you listen and it helps. And you can help give people access to local atheist and skeptic groups in their area, or help put them in touch with other organizations that can help them. It really is incredibly fulfilling. And definitely, if you're a student, we talked to somebody from the secular, who wants to start a student group. Check out the Secular Student Alliance. Those people are building up so that they can be there for you when you call. Hey, here's a packet, here's a start. Here's everything that we've seen that you may need. It's fantastic. I think that's about it, though.
Yeah, and if you're here in Austin,
drop by the ACA. Come say hi. We'd love to meet you. But I want to say thank you to the other people on the other side of this wall. They're the ones making this happen. They're the ones working hard.
Woo.
Thank you. I want to try the soundboard again. Nope, still no dice. Okay, that's okay.
No!
Ah, what the? Why? No, I did. Okay. Okay, it's not working. They're doing the thing. They're doing the thing. Let's throw up some love rings. You ready? Oh. Fair. Touche. We'll get there. Vern, I want that soundboard. All right, let's throw up some love rings. Ooh, sorry. Sorry about that. Gosh, it's good to be back. I was gone for 1 week and I fucking missed this. I need this every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is it. So for those of you who don't believe, you're not alone. And it's going to take time and it hurts. And that's okay. Finding yourself takes time. And over that time, there are things that you can do and helping others and being a part of that change and being a part of getting us away from the Tumblr atheists and getting away from the just horrible stereotypes that not only other atheists have propped up, but as Christians, I remember hearing just horrendous things, as the enemy.
Yeah.
You can be a part of making that better. You can be a part of changing that. Be that first person. And if you're not in a position where you can, that's okay. Take your time, work on you.
Be that first person for you, at the very least.
Damn straight. But for those of you who do believe, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong. See you next week.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
No, you're done.